Hey everyone, this is Ruck Shop. We are back. This isn't necessarily a how-to video. We're just kind of showing you what we like to do with the back side of the ATR harnesses in regards to cleaning it up and getting rid of some of this excess wire. Right here you'll see that we're just cutting down the loom. Just make sure you don't cut your hand. We're going to bring this down a fair amount because we're not going to need as much slack as the harness gives us. You're going to notice a lot of this video is going to be in fast forward. We go through a lot and wiring is very tedious. So we're just going to show you quickly, not so much in detail, about what we like to do. This part right here, he's still taking down the loom to a certain point where he thinks that the light is going to plug in that we're using, which would be under the seat frame. And once he does that, he's going to cut it and then get the right amount of loom cut. And right here, we're not using the split loom, we're using a whole solid loom, and we're just going to slide that over, mock it up, and then we'll know where to cut. Once we have the loom lined up, we will cut it in place like so, and then we're going to also take off this rubber sleeve that the harnesses have to protect from water getting over the plug. We're not going to use that anymore. Now when cutting these, we're going to be using new pins, so with that we're going to be needing a set of crimpers, some plugs and clips that you can get on eBay. We have them, we just happen to have them around, so we're going to use these. Makes it a little bit cleaner. We are also going to be using these wire strippers, and these snips. And what you're going to do with these wires is a couple inches up from where you cut from the loom, you're going to cut the wires off like so. Make sure you save these because then you have the color patterns on there so you know which one goes to what still. We're going to take the loom, open it up, and then slide it over the wires now. So this is some of the loom that we sell in the store. This is the split loom, so you can open this up. We have 3/4 and 1/2 inch. 3/4 you're going to be using for like the thicker wires, like the ones that run throughout the frame like we're doing right now. So what he's going to do is he's going to open up the loom, run it through the little plug here, little bung that's on the frame, and it's going to run along the ATR loom that's already on there through the little frame here. This is just a little bit of a cleaner look from the loom that the ATR harnesses use, and it's something we like to do on the bikes that we have. Right now he's just trying to get the loom over the factory loom for the ATR harness. And the nice part about the split loom is that you can wrap it around and tuck it so it makes it look nice. What we like to do also is just take a little black electrical tape and you can wrap it around every 10 inches, 12 inches apart from each other just to keep the loom nice and tight. We'll show you how it runs through the frame right now. You can see it goes up, and we usually bring it right up to where the battery box is going to cover, and after that you won't see it anymore. For this part, this is where the if you were to use a factory fuel pump, which if you saw in the ATR install videos, we don't recommend it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off, and you're going to open up the loom that we have on there, or it's a electrical tape I believe they use, and you'll see that there's 3 wires in there. And once you open it up, and make sure not to cut yourself again, you're going to cut these 3 wires at different lengths so there's no possible way that they could touch each other. And then you're going to tape it back up and wrap it around, and then after that you can tuck it back in the loom. Now we know that this video is probably not going to be as entertaining as the others or useful, because it's more of a what we do with these harnesses just to clean them up. So just be aware of that. There's going to be some silences and a lot of fast forwarding, so it might be a little difficult if you're trying to watch what we do, but we tried to shrink it into at least a 30-minute video. This is the type of video that you would watch if you were at the DMV and you needed like a half hour or so to waste. You didn't want to pay attention to anyone else going on. Like, people watching wasn't good enough. In this portion, he's going to be cutting down more loom in the back. This is where the stator and the auto choke all come out of the harness. He's going to be trimming that back. You'll notice there's a lot of electrical tape that he's going to be cutting through just to open it up and create some more space here. He's going to be cutting this off. We'll be doing a few things with the back of the harness here, where we'll be removing the auto choke because we're not going to be using that anymore. We'll be using the OKO carburetor, which has a manual choke, so we'll be eliminating that. And we'll also be adjusting the ground, soldering all the ground points together to give it a better ground, and shortening up the wires in the back here. So you can see here with the auto choke, he's going to be cutting this off. And then again, making sure that they're at different lengths so that they have no possible way of touching and crossing. This part is going to be soldering the grounds together that are already in the harness here. You see that they're all kind of twisted together, so he likes to go through it with the soldering gun and make sure the grounds are a solid connection. This is the type of YouTube video you would watch if you were like bored at your in-laws and they're talking about their new floral arrangements, and you had a better idea of watching a couple guys talk about wires on a scooter. Probably if you had jury duty, and the only thing more entertaining than a hit and run is shortening scooter wires. You can see here with the we don't want to use these bolt connectors because we're going to be putting the new coil on, and this is the direct ignition, so we'd rather have a solid connection with this. And you can see here he's going to be putting the two ground wires together, which is the black to the green, the black coming from the direct ignition coil to the green of the coil coming out of the harness. And he's going to have the red going to the black, which is the power feed for the coil. And he's going to be clipping this and soldering it as well. I got a knock knock joke for you guys. Knock knock. And you would say, who's there? And I'd say, wire. And then you're going to say, wire who? And then I'm going to say, why are you still watching this? Alright. He's just soldering up the remainder of the direct ignition coil here. Make sure the connection is nice and good. And he also put some heat shrink on there that he's going to slide over and shrink that up with our handheld heat gun here. And now with the direct ignition clip, he's just going to be taping up the two wires and getting it close, which will help out when you're finishing up the harness and trying to make it a little bit of a cleaner look with the loom. The more compact you get the wires, the tighter and easier it's going to be when you're putting it in the loom. Right now he's taking off the ground that we had going through the valve cover, and he's going to be shortening that up, putting a new connector on it, and then we're going to be putting it back into the valve cover. Because the one that they give you from the ATR harness is fairly long for both the valve cover ground and the one that goes to the back of the starter. This would also be a really good video to watch if you had to take your kids out to a show like Minions on Ice, and the only thing that you can use to zone out the kids screaming is a soothing video of a soldering iron on an ATR harness. I just keep thinking of good ones. Alright, now that he has the ground back together, he's just going to put some shrink wrap on it before he puts the clip, and use our handheld heat gun again. I would recommend using that heat gun if you're around aerosol products. I'm just going to tighten this back up. And earlier we had cut the wires down for the tail light, and now we're just going to be putting the pins on it to put it in those clips that we were telling you about that you can buy in a pack on eBay. And with this, we'll do this half, put it in a clip, and then whenever we would do the seat install with our flush mount taillight or our R6 taillight, we would cut the wires coming off that and match them correctly to the wires for the ATR harness, and this way we can pin it correctly with our clips and have it a quick plug and install. I don't know if he's pinning the clip or using a Rubik's Cube. Alright, so now we have the longer ground that goes to the back of the starter that we had in the ATR install video. We're going to shorten that down some. As you can see, he likes to take a measurement of where he needs to be at after running it underneath the mount. So he's going to snip right there. And then, just like the other ground, we're going to take a little bit of the wire off, put some heat shrink on it, put a new fitting on the end, heat up that heat shrink, and bolt it back onto the back of the starter. And as you can see how fast he got that fitting on there, that this bike was put together on Red Bull. Now that he's sliding the loom on, we'll be able to slide it back under the mount and get it in place. Just going to throw a little tape on here to make sure the loom doesn't move around, and cover up the heat shrink that was used. Once it runs it back underneath the mount to keep a clean harness there, he's going to put the bolt back through into the starter, and then this ground will be done. Alright. So now we're going to move on to the starter wire. With this, we've already cut this down to size. We got the right fitting for it. Going to put some heat wrap on it, just like we've done with all the grounds and the other wires that we've cut. We're going to shrink it up some. Put it on the barb. And like we showed you in the other videos, you can use the clip off the clip that comes with the already on the starter with the red cable. It has a little backing nut already built onto it. You cut off the wire. You're going to put this starter cable on top, put the bolt that came through, and then use that other clip from your other starter wire as a backing nut, and this will work just fine. He's used some Ruck electrical tape just so he still knows that this is the starter wire. We're going to loom it. And tape it up, and then we'll be able to bolt it in place. We don't have the bolt at the moment for it, so we're just going to run it and then leave the wire in place for the meantime. Because again, this was a donor bike and not all of the parts were on the bike. Oh, threw me a zinger. I thought he was going to tape it. Came out of left field with some zip ties. Alright. Gonna snip that down. We're going to pull it tight first. Once you get it tight, you're going to cut off the excess. Good to go. And we're going to tape up the other end of the loom where it meets up into the harness here. As you can see, cut it perfectly. It's going to go right in place. So with the plug coming from the harness that has the stator, we're going to use a little paper clip and push the pins out of it. You can see there's a little area where the clip comes out some and it locks in like a fish hook. If you push it down with the paper clip, you should be able to pop the clip out while you're tugging on the wire, just like he did here. If you do shorten the stator wires, make sure you can label them or tag them in a certain order or take a picture, because there are multiples of the yellow wire, or because a lot of people will hardwire the stator but they won't match up or they'll forget the pin order between the yellows, the white, and the green. And we're going to be using our clips along with the crimping tool, and we're going to be putting it in a new cap. He's going to be doing this with each wire coming out of the stator here. Like I said, try to make it a little bit faster so it's not taking up a lot of your time. You can always fast forward a little bit to the next part. We're just kind of showing you like what we like to do again to clean up the rear part of the harness. Sometimes these pins can be a pain to push out, so if the paper clip isn't working, you can try using like a little screwdriver or something small like a eyeglass tool or sunglass tool, and you can push it through. Like he's using right now. If you've made it this far through the video, I'm going to give you a gold star. You've been a real trooper. Oh, got myself a text message, and it's my grandma. She's asked me if I'm still doing the commentary for this and if I ate the meatballs she sent me. And as you can see, we're still crimping. I think what he's going to do at this point is he cut now that he knows which wire goes where, he's probably going to end up cutting the wires and just using a stripper and repinning them to put them in the clip. It's going to be a little bit easier at this point once you have the schematics of it. Alright, while he finishes this up, unfortunately we were trying to finish up the rest of the back of the harness, but the camera had died on us and we lost the rest of the footage. We'll try to get some photos put up on the website, or see if I can put up another video of what the finished product looks like with the back of the harness. Make it as clean as we possibly can, so there's no loose wires anywhere or anything along the lines like that. Appreciate you guys watching and sticking it out this long. Again, like, share, subscribe. I know this one was more of a not so fun, more of a boring video. We're just trying to show you guys what it takes to clean up the back of the harness, and then we haven't even gotten to the front of the harness. It's hours and hours of shortening and making sure that everything's correct. And like usually you want to make sure that the bike runs with the harness how it is, and then you can go back and trim everything up. We know that this setup works. We've primed the motor with it, and so that's why we're going back and just trimming up and kind of showing you guys what we like to do. Thanks again. As always, check out our next video.